Hi there! Welcome to Switch Mania. I am Clarence and we'll talk about the best Nintendo Switch games on sale. We will be covering the UK, EU, US, Australia, and Canada eShop. But first and foremost, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you want to see more of this series, please leave a like, remember to subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell to receive future notifications. Likes and subscriptions help keep the channel alive. First on our list is Lost in Play. Everyone can enjoy Lost in Play, a fantastic puzzle adventure game. It's a good story about two kids who use their imagination to create a world in which they can have fun. The art is fantastic and the puzzles are unique and challenging. I'd recommend it to anyone looking for something fun to do alone or with their family. Even though there were issues with how the puzzles were constructed and how difficult they did not last long because the game moves quickly. It takes approximately 5 hours to complete, and with each map taking approximately 30 minutes. The game is enjoyable for people of all ages, but the way it looks is what will keep families coming back. It captures and maintains your attention throughout, making it a pleasure to complete this game. Its smooth animation and catchy music compensate for its lack of depth in how it works. It's a fantastic first game from independent developer Happy Juice Games. Next is Underhero. Underhero is a fantastic game that few people are aware of. It has a fantastic soundtrack, a fantastic cast of characters, and a fantastic way to fight. However, there are some issues with the game's pace that slows it down a little. Its wit is always sharp, and its stories are frequently moving and well written. If you like the early Paper Mario games, you must play this one. Underhero is a lovely and inspiring game that cleverly combines platforming, turn-based, and timing-based combat and adventure elements. Even though there is a little too much backtracking and the slingshot weapon is difficult to aim, you can't help but smile while playing Underhero. It's yet another fantastic must-play indie title that every Switch owner should look into. Next up, 1979 Revolution Black Friday. 1979 Revolution Black Friday is an enjoyable and intriguing game for reasons other than its unique story. The more important part is that it demonstrates that Telltale's formula will live on long after the company ceases operations, and it demonstrates that the next generation of adventure game developers may have discovered a way to improve on something that was already good. Not only is it entertaining on its own, but by focusing on one of the most dramatic events in recent memory, it has completely eclipsed a film that won an Academy Award for examining the same event. Despite some technical difficulties, the story is worthwhile. Despite the fact that the console versions are twice as expensive as the PC and mobile versions, you should check out this game on any platform you can. It demonstrates a timeless truth that we should be aware of in our tense cultural climate. The fires of revolution are always hot and they don't care who or what they burn. Next is Flat Heroes. Who would have guessed that a game based on squares could be so entertaining? Even though the game appears simple on the surface, it is a challenging and rewarding platformer at its core, one that has a lot of activities and can be played alone or with others. If you're looking for something new to buy from the eShop, I can't recommend Flat Heroes highly enough. Fans of the genre should play this. You might think you've played a game like this before based on the trailer, but Flat Heroes is much more fun and has a lot more to do. The difficulty gradually increases, and completing later levels, particularly the boss stages, gives you a great sense of accomplishment. Flat Heroes is a surprisingly enjoyable platformer in which you must avoid hazards, but don't expect the multiplayer mode to be more enjoyable than playing alone. Flat Heroes is a fantastic game to play if you want to put your 2D gaming skills to the test. Next up, Phantom Doctrine. I like how it was split up into the on-ground mission and reconnaissance activities, even if the balance was off, whether it was because I didn't have to play it in front of the TV or because it ditches the alien threat for a more grounded, espionage-based take on the genre. Also, not having to roll dice to determine your hit rate removed a layer of ambiguity that made combat much more enjoyable for me. Phantom Doctrine is a good choice if, like me, you enjoyed Mario plus Rabbids but wished it had more depth or don't particularly care for sci-fi themes. If it appears that I have more negative things to say about Phantom Doctrine, it's because it's so simple to describe. It's similar to XCOM during the Cold War, and it does so quite well. Though this game isn't as good as XCOM, it'll suffice if you're looking for something similar. Next is The Old Man's Journey. Old Man's Journey is a captivating work with beautiful visuals that will immerse its players in a unique experience. Its length may appear to be too short, but the quality of its design and the challenge challenges it provides make it a game worthy of a spot in the Switch's growing library. I can't help but want more from Old Man's Journey, which contradicts the game's purpose. It's a story-driven experience that wraps up neatly and answers all of your questions. Even so, the interaction isn't particularly enjoyable. Some puzzles are discovered along the way, but the true goal of the journey is to discover what the gentleman's true goal is. The message is fantastic and it made me feel a little better. Next up, Severed Steel. Severed Steel is a fast-paced first-person shooter that requires quick reflexes and creative thinking to survive the minions of a bad mega corporation wreaking havoc in a dystopian future. Except for a few levels near the end, the game runs almost flawlessly on Switch. However, because the majority of the game is played in slow motion, it doesn't really matter. Games like this usually restart almost immediately, so the action never stops. Load times in Severed Steel aren't exclusively long, but they are long enough to make losing more frustrating. The other issue is the lack of gyro aiming, which appears to be a major oversight in such a fast-paced game. But we're still talking about a game in which you can shoot someone in slow motion, dive over their head, steal another gun from their back pocket, and then shoot them. That's really cool. Next is Once Upon a Jester. Once Upon a Jester is a traditional hero's journey told through creative writing and gameplay. I wasn't expecting so many touching moments among the laughs. The music also does an excellent job of setting the mood. I appreciate how the creators of Once Upon a Jester took risk with the story, the voice acting, and even the way the game is presented. This game embodies everything I enjoy about the indie scene. Once Upon a Jester is a fantastic game because it has an original plot, interesting characters, and fantastic music. Ponte Avon provided us with a one-of-a-kind, enjoyable, and memorable adventure that I cannot recommend highly enough. It was created by a small group of extremely talented individuals who put their hearts and souls into it. If you enjoy music, humor, and having fun, please do yourself a favor and play this game. Next up, MouseCraft. MouseCraft is a simple game inspired by some of the genre's best games. It is suitable for short breaks during the day because it is enjoyable and simple to play, and it has a bright but not cheesy visual environment. Puzzle game fans will be able to enjoy it for much longer, whereas other players will prefer to take it in smaller doses. Regardless of who plays it, MouseCraft adds to and enhances the Nintendo Switch library. Despite its simplicity, MouseCraft is fun and unique puzzle game. It's entertaining to play while on the go, and you should get it. MouseCraft has a simple appearance and a generic name, but it's a polished and enjoyable puzzle game. The game's 80 levels will provide you with hours of puzzle solving fun and plenty of aha moments. MouseCraft is a fantastic puzzle game with real-time elements that rewards quick, smart thinking more than most puzzle games. Next is Lichtspeer, Double Spear Edition. It looks stunning, and every time you play it, you'll feel as if you've accomplished everything possible. When I was playing the game, my nerves were shot, but I had to finish one more level before going to bed. Some people dislike difficult games, but the game is far more enjoyable than it is unfair. Lichtspeer is an unusual name, but that is part of what makes it intriguing. Lichtspeer isn't for everyone, but if the idea of a game with hipster ice giants and buckets of blood appeals to you, you'll enjoy it. Lichtspeer Double Spear Edition is an excellent update to the original game. Despite having a few more issues than its predecessor, the new co-op mode and updated save system make this a great choice for a cheap indie game to play with friends. Next is Regalia of Men and Monarchs Royal Edition. Aside from the lengthy loading times which may turn off some players, the game's success stems from the way it combines time management with a complex and engaging battle system, all while tying it all together with an intriguing story and excellent voice acting. Large development teams with years of experience have not been able to accomplish this. RPG fans should definitely try Regalia. I have no doubt that Regalia is a fantastic game. It has everything and more that a strategy RPG player could want. It isn't as good as it could be due to some technical and design flaws, but it's difficult not to recommend it. With 30 hours of massive gameplay, a large number of playable characters, a deep post-game, and well-designed scenarios, the player will need weeks to get the most out of it. Next is Winds of Change. Despite its small audience, Winds of Change is a thrilling fantasy visual novel about oppressed and downtrodden people finding hope in doing everything they can to change their world for the better. This is a story that anyone can appreciate. In Winds of Change, a visual novel adventure, you play as a hero tasked with saving your homeland. Throughout the game, you must make difficult decisions, explore your surroundings, discover secrets, and get to know the people around you. This game is enjoyable to play because it has an interesting story and a variety of activities. Overall, I enjoyed Winds of Change. An impressive visual novel has excellent writing, excellent voice acting, branching paths, and stunning artwork. I really want you to look beyond your preconceived notions about certain online communities and not judge this game by its cover. I don't believe this will disappoint you. Next is Cinders. Cinders' story can and often does take unexpected turns. Nothing is set in stone, and what appears to be the best option may turn out to be the worst option if the same scenario is repeated several times to see what happens. Cinders is a fresh take on a classic story, with style and imagination that will linger with gamers longer than other versions. It also has a lot of replay value, so you can experiment with different options. The player is presented with a variety of moral options, and it is up to them to determine whether Cinderella is a nice girl or if she is more like her stepsister and only cares about herself. Cinder's story captured my attention from start to finish. Its interesting cast of characters, themes explored, and differences from the traditional Cinderella story made for an unexpectedly moving story that I won't soon forget. Next up, My Memory of Us. My Memory of Us is a game that is both entertaining and rewarding in a variety of ways. The story is engaging and emotional, the gameplay is challenging and enjoyable, and the art style is lovely but not overbearing. It tackles a difficult subject with care, and the result is a game that adds to the already impressive list of Nintendo Switch games. My Memory of Us was a fantastic game in my opinion. It tells a difficult story about the Holocaust and concentration camps with the innocence of a child and a focus on how much fun the characters have together. The music is fantastic and the story is superbly told. I'll definitely be playing what Juggler Games does in the future. My Memory of Us is a lovely game that depicts real life history through the eyes of a child, making the story more moving. Next is Battle Chef Brigade Deluxe. Battle Chef Brigade is an excellent addition to the list of independent Nintendo Switch games that everyone should play. The game ran at a smooth 60 frames per second in both portable and docked modes, and I never encountered a glitch or bug that ruined my experience. This demonstrates the studio's ability to create a polished game. I fell in love with this game at E3. I can say that it not only met but also exceeded my expectations. It has quickly become one of my favorite indie games on the Nintendo Switch. Battle Chef Brigade is an excellent choice for those looking for a quick game to play in between longer ones. If there is a sequel, hopefully the studio will be able to include some of the missing features from this game. They have a tasty main course, but they could use a few more appetizers to make this the best meal ever. Just a quick reminder, 85% of you guys are not yet subscribed to the channel. If you are enjoying the videos and not subscribed yet, why not? You're coming back anyways. With all that said, let's get back to the video. Next is Cyber Shadow. For those who prefer to do things the old-fashioned way, this is the real deal. There are many old games, including some that have received a lot of praise, that I believe fell short due to bad ideas, boring level design, or smug pandering. It's not a sly wink or a cheap attempt to evoke nostalgia. It's an adequate substitute. You owe it to yourself to get Cyber Shadow as soon as possible if you enjoy old-school action platformers. Almost every aspect of Cyber Shadow's design demonstrates that it was a labor of love and that the person who created it is well versed in what makes the best games in this genre so great. This is an excellent and focused experience with excellent levels, an authentic appearance, tight controls, and a high level of difficulty. It's simple to say it's well worth your time. Mechanical Head Studios has set a high standard with its first game, and we can't wait to see what else it has in store. Next is Butcher. Butcher is a fluid and satisfyingly violent twin-stick shooter that works well on the Nintendo Switch. The small levels makes it easy to play on a phone, and the hybrid console allows it to run smoothly. If you're looking for something different, Butcher isn't it. But there is no way in hell you will be dissatisfied with what is here. Butcher takes it ultra-violent, nihilistic style to its logical conclusion, and if you can handle it, it's a wild ride. Every aspect of the game, from the fast-paced movement and gunplay to the dense atmosphere of the levels and the music, contributes to a very difficult action game that makes you want to try again after each death. Butcher will satisfy you if you're a bit of a pessimist and enjoy fast-paced, hard-hitting action. Butcher is a 2D indie game with mechanics inspired by the glory days of the shooter genre. It's bloody, uncompromising, and brutal. Next up, Project Warlock. Project Warlock is a hidden gem that combines ideas from the best first-person shooters we've ever played with a dash of magic. Because of your arsenal of weapons and spells, you can approach the action in any way you want, and it always feels good. Because each level is so insane, this game has a lot of replay value for people who want to try it again and again, so I have no problem recommending it. Project Warlock is a fantastic throwback to the 1990s violent, fast-paced shooters. It has a ton of big, meaty weapons, magic attacks, some light puzzles, and a never-ending stream of strange hellspawn that you can blow up in 5 different settings. Buckshot Software's first game is a great choice for fans of old-school FPS games, and is currently one of the best shooters on Switch. Project Warlock is a bloodthirsty, enjoyable throwback to Doom and other classic first-person shooters, and it holds its own against modern shooters. Next is Darkwood. I was hooked on Darkwood and didn't want to stop playing after a rocky start that included a steep learning curve. It has better horror elements than most AAA horror games these days, from how well it builds tension to how well it makes the player feel vulnerable. Despite a few errors along the way, survival horror fans should not miss this one. Darkwood is unlike other horror games on the Switch, which is a good thing. People who enjoy survival games will enjoy the constant pressure to find parts and create new things while a clock ticks away in the background, while those who enjoy scary things will enjoy some of the more creepy parts. Despite some technical issues, the end result is a deliberately slow game with a story that branches depending on how far into madness you want to go. Next is Don't Die Mr. Robot. You can simply sit back, relax, and play Don't Die Mr. Robot. The difficulty increases if you play in a mode other than chill out, but this addictive arcade game can hook you in 5 minutes and keep you playing for hours. Don't Die Mr. Robot has an arcade game feel to it. It takes the best parts of pick up and play games and maximizes them. Depending on what you want, it can be entertaining for a few minutes or for many hours. Don't Die Mr. Robot is a solo game rather than a crowd pleaser. However, because the game is simple to play and collecting high score trophies is enjoyable, the game's icon will remain on the Switch's home menu. A simple but addictive little game that pairs well with other trippy digital arcade games for the Switch, such as Namco's Pac-Man Championship Edition 2+. If you're having a bad day, nothing beats cranking up the volume and going to chill out mode until you feel better. Next is Trine 2 Complete Story. Trine 2 Complete Story is available on Nintendo Switch, but there isn't much new content. That doesn't matter because this is such a fantastic puzzle game. Trine 2 could only get better if it was made in a handheld system. Its art style remains beautiful as it ages, and the controls and gameplay are flawless. Now that this goal has been met, all that remains is for everyone to get their hands on it. Trine 2 is one of the best video games ever made, and this Complete Story Edition is the best way to play it so far, especially considering the Switch's portability. This game is a must-have if you enjoy 2D puzzle platformers. Trine 2 Complete Story stands out for how beautiful it looks and sounds, as well as how intriguing its characters are. It's a lengthy fantasy story that can be enjoyed alone or with others. We can have even more fun with it if we do more challenges. Next is Trine 4 The Nightmare Prince. Trine 4 The Nightmare Prince is without a doubt one of the best puzzle platformer games ever created. It has a lot of charm, is entertaining to play, and has some decent puzzles. Combat leaves a lot to be desired and can be unbearable at times, but it's a small price to pay for how amazing the rest of the game is. Frozen Byte has returned the series to its roots with Trine 4 The Nightmare Prince, making puzzles that change over time the main draw. The Switch's controls are tight and the basic button layout and controls feels natural. This game has so many fun and challenging puzzles that it's worth buying just to keep your brain busy. Despite the fact that the story and action aren't as deep as they could be and that I got lost in the puzzles, I thought this was one of the best Switch games I'd played. Next up, Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishment. If you need a Sherlock fix but don't want to open a book, this game will satisfy your craving. Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments is a charming game that is unique and gives you a lot of freedom. Kingdom. This will be a dream come true for the right gamer. Overall, this is the best Sherlock Holmes game we've seen, and it's an excellent way for the consulting detective to make this Switch debut. This is not a sloppy downgrade, as developer Frogwares has created a full-featured and engaging experience from start to finish, which may come too soon. It looks fantastic and performs admirably. The only drawback are some minor annoyances and some weak puzzles that you can skip. The game's tolerance for mistakes makes it feel less predetermined and inevitable than other detective games, which is pretty cool. It's ironic that it took one of the form's oldest characters to come up with such a novel idea. Next is Far Lone Sails. Far Lone Sails is one of those rare games that can accomplish a lot in a short period of time. It's short enough that you could finish it in 1 or 2 sittings, and it has just enough depth to keep you interested without being too dense. It provided me with a pleasant journey to the end of the world, which made me smile and gave me a warm feeling in my heart. Without saying a single word, Lone Sails tells a moving story of hope and perseverance. This is accomplished by balancing style and substance in which such a way that the experience feels as good as it looks. You could complain about the short length of the experience, the occasionally perplexing puzzles, and the minor control issues, but once you get into the journey, these issues fade away. I strongly believe you should give it a shot. Far Lone Sails is a lovely little game with a fantastic soundtrack and a journey that includes both stressful and relaxing moments. Next up, a musical story. A musical story is an excellent addition to the rhythm game genre. It is very unique because it combines story and rhythm. It almost teaches you how to listen to music because of how you have to play the game. It tests you without being impossible, providing you with a rewarding experience that you can carry with you. The songs are so enjoyable to play and listen to that you'll most likely want to do it again. The story, with its fantastic characters and settings, is worth playing from beginning to end. The setting in the 1970s adds to the drama. Gabriel is the main character, and despite his flaws and struggles, he is very likable. Amelia, the love interest, rounds out the cast nicely. Her presence isn't forced, and neither is the romance. Overall, a musical story is a one-of-a-kind experience, and more games like it would be fantastic. Next up, Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom is not a cheap indie game, but neither is the experience created by Game Atelier and FDG Entertainment. Beautiful hand-drawn graphics, a rocking soundtrack, rewarding boss battles, an excellent progression system, and a gripping story make this an action-adventure platformer that everyone who enjoys the genre should own. Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom is a platformer based on classic games that demonstrates how well the genre can be done. Despite the fact that it was released on multiple platforms, it feels right at home on the Switch. If you've never played a Monster Boy game but like Metroid or Castlevania, this is the game for you. And if you like Monster Boy and are curious about how good this part is, you should already have it. But even if you don't, you won't be sorry you played Cursed Kingdom. Next up, Oceanhorn 2, Knights of the Lost Realm. Oceanhorn 2 has a few issues that are difficult to overlook. I was angry at times, but as soon as I got over it, I was back in a world I couldn't wait to explore. The story is entertaining even if some parts are obvious. The dungeons and puzzles in the world are all unique and just difficult enough. It also doesn't hurt that it's a stunning game, one of the most stunning on Switch. Oceanhorn 2's mechanics, which combine different types of games, help to compensate for some of the game's flaws. Even if there are some hiccups along the way, this is still a worthwhile journey. Oceanhorn 2 Knights of the Lost Realm, like the first Oceanhorn, lacks a distinct identity. It does, however, do Zelda better than Zelda. The world is beautiful, the puzzles are clever, and the pace is fast enough to put it at top of the Zelda-like list, despite the fact that the combat and performance aren't very good. Next is Blossom Tales, The Sleeping King. When I was younger, I, like most kids, enjoyed and played classic Zelda games. Blossom Tales does a good job of recreating the classic action-adventure genre's simple, tried-and-true gameplay, but it also injects some of its own personality. Castle Pixel has created a lovely tribute to one of Nintendo's most beloved and cherished games by introducing new mechanics that improves the game's fluidity and combining them with a charming story. Blossom Tales Tales the Sleeping King is a lovely tribute to Zelda, and if you're looking for a polished Zelda game, look no further. Overall, I thought Blossom Tales was a very good 2D Zelda clone. It was put together better than I expected from an indie developer. That's not a dig at indie developers, it's praise for a game that was nearly as good as Minish Cap. If you're looking for a top-down adventure game similar to Zelda, this could be the best one on the Nintendo Switch eShop. Next is Valfaris. Valfaris is a near-perfect 2D action platformer in every way. It exudes a strong sense of style in every way. Its industrial science fiction setting is like Doom on steroids, and its fast-paced music does an excellent job of connecting everything, despite the fact that some parts, particularly later levels, are more difficult than they should be. The game stands out from other indie platformers due to its strong personality, beautiful world and graphics, and excellent gameplay. Valfaris is one of the best independent games. It's a simple, fun, old-school game with fewer layers than many new games. The action is fast-paced, the challenges are clever, the gameplay is enjoyable, and the pixel art is fantastic. The only thing I didn't like was how some enemies kept reappearing. Nonetheless, the game is enjoyable from start to finish. Valfaris is a frantic, violent homage to classic shooters and heavy metal. It has satisfying gameplay and difficult boss fights, so anyone looking for a good time will enjoy it. And last but not the least, Cozy Grove. Cozy Grove, especially on the Switch, hits all the right notes. After playing the game on both Steam and Switch, I believe the Switch is the best platform for it. Even if it sounds corny, all you need to do is turn on your Switch, curl up with a cup of coffee, and enjoy Cozy Grove. This is a game you should play, whether you want a quick game to pass the time or a whole new world to explore. Interacting with and assisting spirits may sound creepy, but Cozy Grove is a fun Nintendo Switch game with a watercolor look, lots of humor, and just the right amount of kindness and grumpiness. Regular updates bring new features and changes to the game's interface. Hugging a digital ghost bear is more fun than you could ever imagine with the latest update. Cozy Grove depicts island's life without obnoxious capitalist raccoon overlords, and it's all very nice. Cozy Grove is the result of taking Animal Crossing and making it as indie as possible. That's all, guys. I hope this video was helpful in deciding which game to play. And thank you for checking out the list. Please remember to subscribe, and we'll see you at the next one.